Sports. We are Baltimore. We are Arizona.
St. Louis D-backs in town, looking to recapture that winning spirit after yesterday's dramatic series opener against the Cardinals, who now own baseball's best record. And tonight, we'll see if Archie Bradley can return to form. We had a roster move today, and with June approaching, we might see a few more coming soon. It's game 2 of 3 against the National League Central leaders on Fox Sports Arizona. And good afternoon from Busch Stadium. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. It is the St. Louis Cardinals and the Arizona Diamondbacks here. Game 2 of a 3-game set. Your pitching matchup this evening here from St. Louis, Jaime Garcia, the left-hander, making just his second start this year. And for the Diamondbacks, it's rookie Archie Bradley, Bob, trying to regain his winning ways.
I think we had to lower our sights a little bit with Archie Bradley. His team won his first 4 starts. He was 2-0. You see the ERA in those first 4 starts. He was so good. I think we expected him to be that good every time out. He's fallen on hard times the last couple times since getting hit in the face with that Carlos Gonzalez line drive. Hopefully that's behind him. He can go out and twirl a gem tonight against the Cardinals.
Well, Garcia starting for St. Louis, the left-hander coming off a shoulder injury. So the lineup for the Diamondbacks tonight, right-hand heavy. That includes the red-hot Yasmani Tomas. 3 more hits last night. He's hit in 9 straight.
He's coming in bunches with these hits, and I think this is a real good matchup for Yasmani tonight. He's matched up pretty well against everybody, but Garcia's a soft toss and lefty isn't overpowering by any stretch of the imagination. Look for Yasmani to pull a couple balls to left field tonight.
Because sometimes you just got to live Tomas. When we come back here, more before first pitch at Busch Stadium. Meet me in St. Louis. That was the word that Vidal Nuno got today. He may be the first of a few roster moves coming over the next week or so. Details next. Arizona is brought to you in part by Cox Gigablast. How will you live the gig life? by Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. Try the new legendary Buttery Jack from Jack in the Box today. The stadium in St. Louis, we're about 10 minutes away from first pitch here. Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Diamondbacks and the NL Central leading Cardinals. Vidal Nuno is here with us now. Recalled from AAA Reno. Enrique Burgos is on the DL, right shoulder tendonitis. This one hurts. 25 strikeouts for Burgos in 13 2/3 innings so far in the big leagues, Bob, but they saw something last night that they didn't like.
Yeah, if you watch Burgos throw this last pitch and then follow him off the side of the mound, stretching that right shoulder out right there. Diamondbacks bench, including Mike Harkey, did not like what they saw from Burgos. Came out, talked it over, took him out of the ball game, and as we just documented, goes on the DL with shoulder tendonitis today. He gave us that piece in the bullpen that could miss bats. We're going to miss him.
Well, David Hernandez will throw for Mobile tomorrow. Matt Stites is warming up as well. Help may be on the way. Todd checks in with Tony La Russa back in town when we come back. To you in part by your Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers.
Gorgeous night here in St. Louis as our exclusive coverage of Diamondbacks baseball continues here on Fox Sports Arizona. As you can see, just over 6 minutes till first pitch. Steve Berthew and Bob Brenly, of course, have the call. Todd Walsh back here inside the Arizona Diamondbacks dugout. And earlier tonight in Diamondbacks Live, the pregame show, had a chance to visit with Tony La Russa back here in St. Louis for the first time as a member of the Diamondbacks. Now, he's been here on other trips, but has never accompanied the team before. And obviously, when you talk about Tony La Russa, you talk about the World Series flags that are hanging here, 2006 and 2011. He was the architect and the manager of those two teams. We talked about that. You'll see that on the post-game show. But here's just a snippet of what Tony had to say about being back here in St. Louis and in this particular dugout, the visitors' dugout. He joins us inside it's the visitors' dugout. Now, Tony, I know this about you. I know you're not much into nostalgia. The problem is I am. So I have to ask you, how odd is it to be over here on this side in this building?
Well, I'm going to tell you, just so you know, I'm into nostalgia.
Okay, good.
I love remembering the old times and the good times, but I'm also, you always turn the page, it's what's next. So this is very strange. All those years staring over here, we would stare at each other, trying to steal each other's signs, and it's a different perspective. As you can see, it's not the best seat in the house down here.
No, I was thinking about you last night as I was leaning over there yesterday afternoon. How many times I remember looking over at you and that glare that you had. I mean, you must know this place by heart.
Yeah, it's. I remember the old ballpark. The dugout had didn't have quite as many bars, and this one here you had to really maneuver to see the game. But all the, I mean, it's a beautiful. They've done a great job making it fan friendly. But a lot of memories. You know, we won here the first year. It opened 2006 and had another one, so it's been nice.
Tony, my favorite phrase as it relates to championship teams is "win together," and you win and you walk together forever. I should say. As time goes on now, as you look back in the rearview mirror of those World Series championships, what do you remember most about those teams here and the guys that you had?
I'm going to tell you, Tyler, one of the best memory I have are the relationships the whole 30 years. Yeah. Because if your team went out there and tried the very best it could, by definition, whatever that winning total, we had the respect and trust of each other. When you have the crowning glory, which is you actually play in October and you win the championship, you know, then that's the dream come true. I think you have that final, the hug's a little tighter. Mm-hmm. But even if you didn't win the championship, if you did your very best, you have a good feeling.
Good. More from Tony La Russa, as I mentioned, on Diamondbacks Live, the post-game show. As we go to a break, though, we'll get you set for this one. Game 2 of 3. Archie Bradley trying to make his way back from that injury. The line drive off his face. He struggled in his last 2 starts. How will he do tonight? We'll find out together. Steve and Bob have the call in a moment.
To win a ball game, the Cardinals an outstanding 16-5 at home this year. They have the best overall record of the major leagues at 29-16. And come into tonight's game 4.5 over the Cubs atop the National League Central. And on the mound for St. Louis, your Arizona Ford starting pitcher is Jaime Garcia, the 28-year-old left-hander, making just his second start this year. He had to be shut down in spring training because of complications from shoulder surgery. With a scouting report, here's A.J. Pollock.
You know, fastball, cutter, slider, occasional changeup, curveball guy. He's done different stuff in the past too, so I guess we're just going to go out there. He's only had 1 start, and you know, see what he's doing and kind of feel it out, and you know, hopefully get a good pitch to hit and do some damage on it.
Yeah, because Garcia's only had one start this year, it's a little tough to determine if he's the same guy he was before the shoulder injury or as he incorporated some new pitches into his arsenal.
His whole career has been about injuries. In fact, he's barely pitched the last couple of years. We have a slight delay here on the field. And now the umpires are set to go. Chris Siegel says play ball, and we are set to go. You see the numbers on Garcia. His only start this year last Thursday, beaten by the Mets. He walked 5 in 7 innings. Ender Inciarte leads it off. Siegel behind the plate. There's strike one. We are underway underneath the arch here in St. Louis. Ender at 305. Had his second straight 2-hit game last night. A couple of hits in Sunday's went over the Cubs as well. He slaps it the other way, but right at Carpenter, who was in on the grass at third. 2 pitches, 1 out for Jaime Garcia. A lineup for Chip Hale's Arizona Diamondbacks.
Ender Inciarte at the top. He'll be out in left field tonight. Mark Trumbo in right field with Paul Goldschmidt at first base. A.J. Pollock cleaning up, and you can see why. Last 6 games he has been red hot. Yasmani Tomas at third base. Aaron Hill at second base. Tuffy Gosewich doing the catching tonight. Nick Ahmed at shortstop. And Archie Bradley on the mound for the D-backs.
You think of A.J. Pollock more as a 2-hole hitter, Mark Trumbo more as a cleanup guy, but it's been role reversal, and for the most part it's worked pretty well for Chip Hale. With Trumbo in there at 264 and now 7 homers. 1 for 5 yesterday. The big 2-run shot to straightaway center that tied it in the 8th inning. And Mark has now homered 5 times in his last 17 games. Another line drive Trumbo homer, this one to dead center.
On a low fastball, we've talked about it at length this season. Mark Trumbo hits for power on pitches down in the zone, hits for average on pitches up in the zone.
1-1 pitch.
You mentioned the injuries for Jaime Garcia. It makes you wonder. His first 2 full seasons in the big leagues, he won 13 games. And then just a series of injuries as you get a look at Trumbo's numbers in the varying spots in the batting order. That makes you wonder if this guy had stayed healthy, he might be one of the best left-handers in the game right now.
He's a very effective ground ball pitcher when he's at his best, Jaime Garcia. From Mexico, went to high school in Mission, Texas, a Cardinals 22nd round pick in the 05 draft. Two and two to Trumbo. Matt Adams at first, long run, and Trumbo beats it out. Couldn't make the toss to Garcia, who was covering. It was a 3-man foot race there, and Mark won it.
Oh man, that looked like a collision waiting to happen right there. Some big boys converging on that bag over there. Big breaking ball, and you could clearly see right there Garcia got a late break off the mound. Adams didn't feel comfortable trying to feed him. He knew he couldn't beat Trumbo to the bag, so he just hung on to it.
Well, a key for the Diamondbacks: score first. The D-backs are 17-6 this season when they score first. And here's Paul Goldschmidt, 338, 3rd best in the National League, 3rd in the league in RBIs, and 2nd in OPS. Goldie 2 for 4 last night, couple of singles. And as he steps in here, he's got 7 hits in his last 14 at bats. Two and 0.
Diamondbacks are surprising in a lot of ways this year. One of them is they have the highest batting average against left-handed pitching by a pretty considerable margin over the Giants.
And you've got only one left-hand bat in there tonight. Inciarte in the leadoff spot. Trumbo at first, 2-0 to Goldie. There's the strike, 2-1. Garcia got wild at times with those 5 walks in his start Thursday at Citi Field, but Mike Matheny said overall he was very good. Stuff looks right. Good to have him back. They really are looking here in St. Louis for some stability in that rotation. They've lost Wainwright. They've lost Marco Gonzalez. They've both been out for a while now, so they're hoping Garcia, with everything he brings to the table right there, can give them some consistency in that rotation. There's another strike, and he's back even 2-2. And in that start against the Mets last week, his fastballs, the 4-seamer, the 2-seamer, sat low 90s, did top out at 94. And threw plenty of sliders. This is a guy who has always had a lot of movement on his pitches. That's led to a lot of shoulder problems, but you will see his ball move around an awful lot. Like that, bounces that one. Still trying to get that sharpness to everything, that crispness. And it's 3-2 to Goldie. Let's take a look at the Cardinals around Jaime Garcia, the mid-first bank, starting defense for St. Louis.
Holiday, Grichuk, and Hayward left to right across the outfield this evening. Matt Carpenter at third, Johnny Peralta at shortstop, Colton Wong at second base, Big Matt Adams over at first, Yadier Molina doing the catching for left-hander Jaime Garcia.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Called strike 3. Chris Siegel rings up Goldie. 2 down.
It's not like Goldie to take 3 called strikes in an at bat. That one's right down Main Street. Fastball with a little bit of tail. Probably setting him up for later in the game.
Playing in the weeds. Here's A.J. Pollock at 3-11.
Yeah, we kind of joke about that, but Dusty Baker used to tell stories about playing with Hank Aaron with the Atlanta Braves, and Hank, in situations just like that, would swing right through a fastball early in the game, knowing that the pitcher was going to go back to it later in the ball game, maybe in a key moment. I'm not quite so sure I buy that story from Dusty Baker, but he insists it's true.
AJ red hot right now. 12 hits in his last 25 at bats. It all started, it seems, with that 8th inning pinch hit 2-run homer that won a game at Miami last Tuesday.
Boy, what a difference 24 hours makes with Lance Barksdale behind the plate. That would have been a called strike. He was calling a lot of low pitches last night. I talked to Tuffy about it this afternoon. He said, yeah, we noticed it right away and we tried to take advantage of it. Tried to pound the bottom of that strike zone.
And anything at or below the knees, it seemed, was a strike. Garcia gets behind on Pollock 3-0. And big Yasmani Tomas, speaking of red hot, is on deck. 3 hits last night. And has quickly become a National League Rookie of the Year candidate. And Chip Hale said today that they hope, fingers crossed, Jake Lamb can be back maybe as soon as Monday. So then you're going to have to start finding some spots for some guys, because it would seem at this point, Bob, that both Tomas and Lamb need to be in the lineup every day.
Maybe a slight adjustment period for Jake Lamb coming back off the injury, but from what we saw before the injury and what we saw last season, I think Jake Lamb has a spot in that lineup with that left-handed power bat.
3-1. AJ over the head of Peralta. That finds a gap in left center field. Mark Trumbo headed for third. He'll stop there. And AJ Pollock is in with his 8th double this year.
It's on a high fastball. Splits that gap in left center field. Good read by Mark Trumbo. Saw that ball headed for the gap. Realized he could go first to third. And, of course, with AJ's speed, that's an easy double.
Well, he's now 13 for his last 26, A.J. Pollock. Second and third, 2 down, Yasmani Tomas. And speaking of red hot, 347, a homer. He's driven in 14. Yasmani 3 singles yesterday, now with a 9-game hitting streak. And 7 of those 9 are multi-hit games. And Tomas has not seen a lot of left-hand pitching so far this year. He's only 4 for 20 against lefties this season. He's over 380 against right-handers, but just haven't run into a lot of lefties so far for whatever reason.
Well, there is Clayton Kershaw and Madison Bumgarner, but your point is well taken. It just doesn't seem to be as many left-handed starters, and the Diamondbacks have missed a lot of the lefty starters. Tomas
down, no balls and 2 strikes. And I imagine the first time you face Garcia, it's tough because his ball does move around so much and in different directions. He would seem to be the kind of guy that you need to see a few times up there before you have a general idea.
And so far in this at bat, he's seen the same pitch twice. That sharp late breaking slider down and in off the plate.
Second time he spiked that pitch well in front of home plate. Buster Posey, boy, those Giants, man, they're rolling right now. Posey's hitting 16 straight, Crawford 10 in a row. Tomas and Colton Wong here in St. Louis looking to make it 10. 1-2 pitch. Off the glove of Carpenter at third. This will score 2. Tomas takes the turn and heads for second. Trumbo's in, Pollock's in, and it's 2-0 Diamondbacks. A shot right to Matt Carpenter at third. It rolled all the way up the left field line.
Went to the well once too often, tried to throw that cutter inside. That ball just ate up Matt Carpenter down there at third base. Kind of leans back, tries to make the backhanded play. It's shot by him into that left field corner. D-backs take an early lead. Love it.
Another 2-out hit, 6th double for Tomas. It's a 2-run double with 2 outs. And Tomas has now hit in 10 straight. He's in scoring position for Aaron Hill. And remember what we said at the top of the broadcast. The D-backs this year 17-6 when they score first. There's a strike. Aaron hitting .250 and 3 homers.
Boy, and you really like what you saw there from Tomas. He really struggled on the first 2 sliders inside, swung over the top of one, fouled off another one. Garcia tried to go to a very similar pitch, a cutter inside, and made the adjustment, able to keep it fair down that third baseline.
That one is just fouled down the first baseline, and Aaron's down, no balls and 2 strikes. Ten straight for Yasmani. Think about how far he's come, Bob, from spring training when he didn't hit a single ball to the third base side of second. And now he's starting to hit them to left and left center with regularity.
We thought this might be a good matchup. Jaime Garcia not overpowering by any stretch of the imagination, even though he does throw in the low 90s. I guess low 90s isn't enough anymore when everybody that comes in out of that Cardinal bullpen throws 100. But yeah, this figured to be a good matchup for Tomas tonight to get that power back going a little bit.
On a beautiful night here in St. Louis. The forecast just the other day was 90% chance of rain, but we are all thumbs up here tonight weather-wise. Aaron Hill looks at a called strike 3, second strikeout in the inning for Jaime Garcia. But Yasmani Tomas keeps on rolling, a 2-out, 2-run double. And the Diamondbacks score first. Archie Bradley coming up. Your Arizona Ford, starting pitcher for the Diamondbacks, his 7th start this year, looking for his 3rd win. 2 themes from Chip Hale: go deep into the ball game and mix up your pitches. Here's the D-back skipper.
First outing that we knew it was going to be tough for him, he got 3 innings. Now he got 5, his last one. I believe he'll at least give us 6, maybe 7 tonight. He just needs to throw his breaking ball. He needs to throw his changeup. And believe in him. He's been pretty much a one-trick pony here with a fastball early in the game. He's going to be partially on Tuffy also. They're going to have to get together, and even if he's not throwing enough strikes with a fastball, go to the breaking ball, go to the changeup, and just trust it and believe it's going to work.
Colton Wong leads it off for the Cardinals. Archie Bradley won 2 of his first 3 big league starts. He allowed only 3 runs over his first 18 2/3 innings. The only issue was occasionally erratic control. But then he was struck by the Carlos Gonzalez liner April 28th, and in 2 starts since that incident, Bob, his ERA is over 10.
And walks have been an issue as well. 5 walks in those last 2 starts, over 7 innings. You heard Chip Hale talk about being on Tuffy as well, to force him to throw his secondary pitches. Don't become so reliant on that fastball. This is the big leagues. These guys can hit fastballs, anybody's fastball. The key is mixing up your pitches so that the fastball will occasionally fool a Cardinal hitter, and the breaking ball will occasionally fool a Cardinal hitter. The changeup will occasionally fool a hitter.
3-1 to Colton Wong, having a tremendous season, and that's not what you're looking for. A quick walk to lead off the ball game. The lineup for Mike Matheny, St. Louis Cardinals, the best record in baseball.
Colton Wong at the top, playing second base tonight. Matt Carpenter at third base. Matt Holliday out in left field. Matt Adams, Matt's everywhere. Matt Adams at first base. Johnny Peralta at shortstop. Yadier Molina doing the catching. Jason Hayward out in right field. Randall Grichuk getting the start in center tonight. And Jaime Garcia, the lefty, on the mound.
And the dangerous Matt Carpenter, 6th in the National League in hitting at .325. Tuffy really not liking what he's seeing. Archie has had problems finding the strike zone so far.
Looks to be working a little quickly. I mean, we like the fact he works quickly between pitches, but his delivery seems very quick, like he can't wait to let go of the ball. Just slow it down a little bit.
And Archie, in his own words, needs to go back to getting ahead in counts and not having to work from behind as much. And he's been behind so far to his first 2 batters. Get behind on some of these guys, it could be a short night. There's a strike, 1-1. Carpenter, the OPS 980, that's 5th best in the National League. Tied for the league lead in doubles, top 10 in the league in runs scored and on base percentage. A pair of singles last night. He's got a 6-game hitting streak. Archie misses again. He's behind in the count. 2 balls and 1 strike. Got the high socks going tonight. Try and shake things up a bit. It looks like a right-hand version of Andrew Chafin with that look. Well, he walked Wong. He's behind on Carpenter, 3-1.
Yeah, those are old school stirrups. So many times nowadays when you see that particular look, it's a one sock that you wear that looks like that, but this is sanitary socks underneath stirrups.
Going old school tonight.
Old school.
It's an old school baseball town, St. Louis. Archie, after the previous start at Miami last week, says the goal for him just getting back to being more consistent. He'll have it for a couple of hitters, then he'll lose it for 3 or 4 pitches. And that results in a walk, or with him getting behind in the count, having to throw balls down the middle of the plate. Looking for that consistency and trying to find that rhythm he had in spring training. Walking lead for Wong, and Archie Bradley has walked the first 2 he's faced here tonight. Mike Harkey. And Archie, you'll recall that last start Thursday at Miami, he had a very rough first inning then. In fact, the first 4 Marlins batters he faced reached base, as Miami got 3 in the first, but he found a way to get through 5. 4 runs, 9 hits, and no decision, and the Diamondbacks were able to come back and complete that 4-game sweep at Marlins Park. And this one is starting out the same way. A high wire act right out of the gate.
I mentioned it in the open of the show. He set the bar kind of high over those first 4 starts, but we have to be a little bit realistic about it. I mean, this guy's going to have some shaky outings. Randy had some shaky outings. Kurt had some shaky outings. Brandon Webb had some shaky outings. You just like to see him right the ship here, get back into the strike zone, and make the other team beat him. Don't beat yourself.
He's got Wong at second, Carpenter at first. And it's Matt Holliday in there at 317. D-backs an early lead. Yasmani Tomas a 2-run double. Now Archie's ahead in the count 0-1. Holliday a pair of singles last night. That extended his streak to 41 straight games, reaching base safely to open up the year. That's only 1 shy of matching Albert Pujols' franchise record. So he can tie Pujols tonight. Archie so far 12 pitches, only 3 strikes.
And only 1 swing from the first 3 hitters so far in the Cardinals lineup.
There's a strike. And he's back ahead of Holliday, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Archie, when he has been effective this year, very successful being a ground ball pitcher. In fact, so far a ground ball rate of 58%. Which, if he had enough starts to qualify, would put him among the top 10 ground ball pitchers in the major leagues. Could use a grounder right here. Misses away, and it's 2-2. That's the complete opposite of what you're looking for. 2-2 pitch. Archie just 2 innings in his return from the DL. That was May 16th at Philadelphia. 4 runs, 5 hits. He walked 3. And a rough first inning last time out Thursday at Marlins Park. Up the middle and into center, a base hit. They will wave Colton Wong. Carpenter will stop at second, and it's a 2-1 ball game. Matt Holliday an RBI single, and he has tied Albert Pujols' record. And many of the Cardinal fans here on their feet.
Ball away. Holliday just takes it right back up the middle of the field. Those guys that hit in the middle of the lineup and produce runs, they take advantage of every situation. Just an easy ground ball into center field for an RBI.
So the leadoff walk scores, cuts the Diamondback lead in half. First 3 have reached against Bradley, and here's Matt Adams. Strike 1. Matt Adams hitting just over 240 with 4 homers. Not a guy you'd expect to see with a slugging percentage of only 280, but it's been that type of year so far for Matt Adams. The power hasn't quite been there. It's a roller foul, and Archie's ahead 0-2. Take a look at the Diamondbacks around Archie Bradley. It's our mid-first bank starting defense.
Ender Inciarte in left field. A.J. Pollock out in center with Mark Trumbo in right field. The infield will be Yasmani Tomas at third. Nick Ahmed at shortstop. Aaron Hill at second. Paul Goldschmidt over at first base. Tuffy Gosewich doing the catching for Archie Bradley.
0-2 pitch. Got him. One away.
Slow walk back to that first base dugout. I don't know what Adams is thinking about. That pitch is all over the strike zone.
Yeah, he has really struggled lately. Here's last night's hero, Johnny Peralta, batting .304 now with 7 homers following the walk-off winner last night. He's hit safely in 19 of his last 21 games. Drives it to right. Trumbo will play it in the corner. Carpenter scores to tie the game. Here comes Holiday right behind. The throw is not in time. And Peralta's in at third. The Cardinals take a 3-2 lead. The first 3 reached against Archie Bradley. They have all scored.
First pitch fastball down the middle of the plate. Peralta a little tardy on the swing, but hits it on the barrel of the bat anyway, down into that right field corner.
A 2-run double for Peralta. Gets to third on the throw. 3-2 St. Louis now. 13th double for Peralta. Here's Yadier Molina. Still only 1 out. Molina 287, still without a home run. Diamondbacks, as we told you at the top of the broadcast, did make a roster move today. Enrique Burgos went on the DL with right shoulder tendonitis. Vidal Nuno is here. And if you get to that point early in the ball game when you start thinking we might need some innings here, Nuno might be the guy. Although his last appearance with Reno was a start Saturday at Omaha. 5 runs, 6 hits. He went 5 2/3 in that ball game. Here's El Nuno, which of course is Spanish for the Nuno. 2-1. That's in the seats. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Molina hitless last night. And Archie now at 24 pitches. Not too far from Oklahoma. Archie's dad. Doesn't get the call back there from Chris Siegel, and it's full 3-2.
Once again, another one of those pitches that would have been a called strike in last night's ball game down there at the bottom of the zone, but doesn't get the call from Chris Siegel.
Yeah, Lance Barksdale would have been on that big time. But he was consistent. I'll certainly say that for
both ways, yeah.
So here's the 3-2. Tomas at third. Thought about coming home. Gets up, throws out Molina. Peralta scores, and it's 4-2 St. Louis.
Tomas felt it was going to be a dangerous throw to home plate. With Peralta running right down that baseline, he may have hit him in the back with a throw to Tuffy Gosewich. So he decides to go across the diamond for the sure out.
And now he'll go across the diamond again, this time to the second base spot as the Diamondbacks put the shift on for Jason Hayward. D-backs got 2 in the top of the first. Cardinals have answered with 4 in the home half, and Hayward looks at ball 1. Off to a disappointing start in St. Louis following his trade from Atlanta last November. Only 13 RBIs all year. And he's hitting under 240. He did have an RBI single here last night. Archie so far 29 pitches and more balls than strikes. This one is skied left side. Ahmed, the only guy over there with the shift on, still drifting out toward left field. And he's got it in front of Ender and Ciarte. Archie Bradley is out of the first, but the Diamondbacks, who led 2-0, now trail it 4-2. $100 worth of participating Pepsi, Budweiser, and Frito-Lay products to get a pair of tickets to an upcoming D-backs Friday night game. To see the display for offer details, Pepsi, live for now.
I saw a surprising number of D-backs fans outside the ballpark this afternoon.
Really?
Yeah, just kind of milling around. I think some of them were the Bradley contingent, but there was 2 or 3 groups of about 10 people. Of course, the Sedona red kind of blends in with the Cardinal red. It's kind of hard to pick them out, but they're here.
We'll see if Archie can settle down. He did last week. Kept his team in the ball game and managed to get through 5 innings. 1-1 now to Tuffy. And I tell you what, if you are here tonight, you picked a gorgeous night to be here. Just a beautiful evening in St. Louis. No chance of rain tonight. Clear skies overhead. Nice and cool. And the forecast even a day or so ago was 90% chance of rain. It looked like we were just going to be washed out tonight, but it is gorgeous here under the arch. And you can see the people looking through the windows up there. Tuffy drives it to left center field. And Matt Holliday runs it down. My wife Cindy went on that thing. Have you ever been up in that thing?
Oh, no.
It's like a big tube. You know when you used to go through the drive-through teller at the bank?
Yeah.
And they, you put the thing in and they'd shoot it through that tube. It's just like that, she said. But there's no way I'm going up there.
I still say it looks like the world's largest croquet wicket.
It does.
And for years I've said the state of Illinois, if they really wanted to stick it to the city of St. Louis, they would put a big statue of a guy in Bermuda shorts and black socks and sandals with a croquet mallet on the other side of the river.
I think I saw that guy outside the ballpark. Nick Ahmed. Well, there's a lot you can say about croquet, but just not on television. It's a good Midwest kind of a thing, croquet. You know, the barbecue, the cookout, summer evening.
Yeah.
1-1 on Nick, who was 0 for 4 last night. That snapped a 9-game hitting streak. This is hit in the air to left field. It backs up. Holiday still backing up, still backing up. He's at the wall, and it's gone. Nick Ahmed, his second this year, and the Diamondbacks are back within 1. That just carried right out of here. And so Nick, who had the 9-gamer snap last night, starts a new one here tonight.
Very little humidity here tonight. The ball seems to be carrying better than it did in the game last night. Holiday thought he had a beat on it, ends up going all the way back to the wall, an awkward leap up against the fence, but he can't get it.
Here's Archie. It's not like you can't get back into the ball game against Jaime Garcia, making just his second start this year. Not Carpenter or Wainwright out there. He's still trying to find his way. And last time out, he had the same problems that Archie's had lately, which is control, trying to find the strike zone. So if Archie can find a way to settle himself out there, keep his team in the ball game like he did a great job of last week, Diamondbacks could come back against Garcia. I told you 2-3 weeks ago that when Nick Ahmed was hitting the $130 that, you know, he'd hit in 10 out of 11 games, a couple of homers within a 3 or 4 game span, you would have told me I was nuts.
I'm not buying it.
But boy, he looks like a different guy up there now.
He really does. Confidence will carry you a long way in this game. And Nick, as we have documented, was working extremely hard with Turner Ward and Mark Grace to iron out some mechanical issues with his swing, and got a couple of knocks. His confidence went up a little bit. He got a couple more knocks, and it's just fed on itself.
Well, Archie works the count full 3-2, but looks at strike 3 from Garcia, who gets his 3rd strikeout. Yeah, there's Gracie down there. And the way Nick put it is the coaches have now got him in position to attack pitches in the strike zone. You've seen him do that. Lay off the bad ones. Go get the good ones.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
So a 4-3 ball game, 2 outs now, and the top of the order comes back around. It's Ender and Ciarte, who lined to Carpenter at 3rd his first time, and he looks at strike 1. Chris Siegel and Ender and Ciarte. Here comes Chip Hale.
I heard how bad.
Bat comes nowhere near the baseball right there.
They have 0-2 up on the board here. And you can hear Ender going, no, no, no. He did not get a piece of that, didn't offer at it. Well out of the strike zone. Eric Cooper, the first base umpire, is the crew chief.
Close. Ender pulls the bat back very late, but there was no contact at all.
I heard, even from up here, Chris Siegel say something about I heard this or I heard that. And oftentimes umpires, when the ball moves so fast up there, they'll tell you that many times they listen for things. You could hear the ball hit the ground, then hit Molina's mitt, so you got the double thud there. 0-2.
Yeah, he called it a foul ball. The sign that he gave when he came out from behind home plate was foul ball.
That's brutal. And that is not subject to review. 1-2. Up the middle and into center. So a little payback for Ender. He's got a 2-out single.
Cutter up in the strike zone, out over the plate. Ender, that swing, he just hit the ball wherever it's pitched. And that one was pretty much in the middle of the plate. He took it right back up the middle of the field.
Mark Trumbo singled and scored his first time. Came in on Yasmani Tomas's 2-out, 2-run double. Made it 2-0 Diamondbacks. Cardinals answered with 4 in the home half. RBIs for Holiday, Peralta, and Molina. Diamondbacks got 1 back here in this inning on Nick Ahmed's 2nd home run of the year. And it's Inciarte at first with 2 outs. It's really hard on umpires when things are moving that fast. Bats and balls and feet and gloves and bases. And talk to a lot of umpires who tells you, they'll tell you when it's that close, you're listening more and almost as much as you're watching. And it seems like that one kind of bit Chris Siegel on that call. Ender's halfway off the bag at first. Careful with Molina behind the plate. Now Garcia's having problems finding the strike zone. And this is what he went through in his previous start against the Mets last week. Walked 5 in 7 innings, 102 pitches. That's when Garcia is healthy and on. He's in the strike zone a lot. Gets a lot of ground balls. But he has not been that guy so far tonight. 2-0 to Trumbo. Chops it to shortstop, right to Peralta. Oh, Nick Ahmed. His 2nd home run of the season. Over the head of Matt Holliday and into the Diamondback bullpen and left, and they're back within 1 in St. Louis.
Kangaroo court, I think, is going to have to be in order at some point here regarding your partner, Bob Brenly. I don't buy that he was ripping the arch here. I think what he was doing was protecting his fishing hole from earlier today. I think he was fishing in the Mississippi River underneath that arch, and he doesn't want anybody to go there. That's my theory, which I will advance later.
Well, It's a conspiracy theory. Usually I'm a big fan of those, but I can tell you beyond a shadow of a doubt that, Todd, it's a secret watering hole that he and our somewhat reliable staff member go to once a year every time we're in town. They have a, much like you, they have a guy who knows a guy, and there's a guy and then another guy, and they go out to this secret spot. They left the hotel at 4:45 this morning. Really, it was still dark, pouring rain, 4:45, and they're out there with their lines in the water at this undisclosed location.
You're the arbiter.
It's kind of like one of those Dick Cheney deals. You don't know where he is, and nobody's going to find out. But they come back with all these pictures, and it's pretty impressive.
Well, I would ask that if you can visit the pictures again, just take a close look at Bob's hands and the sunburn on them. Steve, take it from here.
Randall Grichuk gets a hold of one and sends it out of here. Well, that's why they like this young man so much. A former first-round pick by Anaheim with great raw power and great opposite field power, as we just see. His second of the season makes it a 5-3 Cardinals lead. This is the guy that they are really falling in love with here. The guy that Cardinal fans think should be playing right field instead of Jason Hayward.
Belt high fastball up and out over the plate.
This is a guy that was drafted ahead of Mike Trout, Randall Grichuk. So he's got a pretty impressive pedigree. Only 23 years old. And he is quickly becoming a fan fave here in St. Louis. Jaime Garcia now. So Grichuk's second makes it 5-3 Cardinals. The thing about Grichuk, you know, the Angels had back-to-back picks. 2009 draft, back into the first round, 24th and 25th. So they look at Rosenberg, Texas high school there. They get Grichuk as Garcia strikes out. They get Grichuk at 24. Then they pick 25th. They take another high school kid out of New Jersey, Mike Trout. So they took Grichuk first. That's kind of where I'm going there, and you just saw why. Do you have any, you want to give fishermen out there a present? Tell them where your fishing hole is?
Oh, no. That won't happen.
Now, what happened with the hands?
Well, I have a reverse golfer tan. You know, if you play golf in Arizona or anywhere for that matter, and you wear a short sleeve shirt and you have your golf glove on, your hands get suntanned or sunburned.
Only at first.
And then I had long sleeves on, so my hands got burnt to death today, but my arms got absolutely no sun whatsoever. So the back of my hands looked like the top of the Cardinals batting helmets.
Now, how many did you catch today?
Lost count. I don't know, 25, 30.
Just one of those bass ponds out here?
Yes, it is.
Was it within Missouri state lines?
No.
No, you went outside the
state. We had to cross the Mississippi River over into southern Illinois, and our source over there is highly connected. Every farm pond, every river, every creek, every stream, he knows somebody that can get us on. And he has a boat.
And he picks you up at the hotel.
Can't be better.
All over the Seven Kingdoms here.
Yep. Well, and our guy is well known around Major League Baseball because I actually met him through John Mabry, the hitting coach for the St. Louis Cardinals. And, when guys come into town, the outdoorsmen tend to get together. What have you been doing? You've been fishing, you've been golfing, you've been doing this or that. And John Mabry turned me on to this guy, and later found out that he takes guys from every team to our secret fishing hole.
Well, you would think sooner or later word would get out about, location. Or does he blindfold you and drive you there? One of those deals?
No, it's nothing like that. Nothing like that. They're very hospitable.
And 2 on Matt Carpenter. Well, it's always fun to get the pictures back and find out how you guys did. Roller to second, right to Aaron Hill. But Randall Grichuk leads off the Cardinals second with his second home run of the year, and St. Louis, after 2, leads it 5-3. Saturday at Chase Field, June the 6th. Diamondbacks and the New York Mets, 7-10. First 20,000 fans get the Tony La Russa bobblehead, courtesy of Chevrolet. Get your tickets right now at dbacks.com, which is one of the best bobblehead likenesses we've seen in a long time. There's Tony, of course, being honored here in St. Louis this week. Chief baseball officer on the road now as a visitor, which is something new for him. Busch Stadium. Diamondbacks front office very busy these days with the Major League Baseball first-year player draft coming up June 8th, and the Diamondbacks, as Goldie leads off the third, have the first overall pick. Archie Bradley trying to settle in here, at least get through 5 and keep his team in the ball game. Goldie, Pollock, Tomas, 3, 4, and 5 against Jaime Garcia. There's the strike. And so a lot of draft discussion as we get closer and closer to that #1 overall pick. Everybody's got their mock drafts out. All the websites, Baseball America, MLB.com, ESPN.com, Baseball Prospectus. Starting to build toward a consensus. And keep seeing the same couple of names pop up that the Diamondbacks might take for that #1 pick. This is chopped to shortstop, Johnny Peralta. A very popular guy right now. Vanderbilt shortstop Dansby Swanson, who had a monster SEC tournament. He's a guy they might be looking at. Tyler Jay, a left-hand pitcher from Illinois, the Fighting Illini. Dylan Tate, a right-hand pitcher from UCSB. All possibilities. There's a high school shortstop that you've probably read about, Brendan Rodgers from the Orlando area. Carson Fulmer, a Vanderbilt starter, is out there as well.
I think this is one of those years that the scouts are really going to earn their money. There's no consensus #1 pick. There's no Steven Strasburg or Bryce Harper or Mike Trout out there. A lot of guys very close in ability depending on what an organization is looking for.
Colton Wong can't recover in time to get A.J. Pollock. A.J. doubled and scored his first time, and he reaches there on what was an easy play for Wong. And it goes down as E4. Baseball America, of course, has their list. Now, this is not a mock draft. This is their list of prospects, and the first 2 players, according to who's the best, 1 through 10. Brendan Rodgers, he's the high school shortstop. Dansby Swanson, the shortstop at Vanderbilt. And then you see Dylan Tate, the right-hander from UCSB. Daz Cameron is Mike Cameron's son, the longtime Major League outfielder. But it's a guy that's not on that list that you might want to watch out for. Tyler Jay, the left-hand pitcher from the University of Illinois. Now, Monty Tomas, 2-run double his first time.
Tyler Jay might have more on his plate than the baseball draft, however. University of Illinois has to face the Ohio University Bobcats in the first round of the NCAA tournament this year.
They're not the House Cats this year.
No,
huh?
Now they're the Bobcats.
They've graduated.
Yeah, first NCAA tournament appearance since 1997.
Well, they got you. They got Mike Schmidt.
Steve Swisher.
There goes Pollock. Tomas fouls that one off. Well, Baseball America, which is a great publication for that kind of thing, quoted one Major League Baseball scouting director as saying it's a tough draft to handicap. As a matter of fact, the toughest one he's ever been a part of. And as you said, there is no superstar here. There's no Strasburg, there's no Harper. There's depth in the draft, but there's not that top heavy level of really elite talent. You're going to get a good player either way, though. The question is, do you go position player or pitcher, high school player or college player?
That used to always amaze me when Strasburg would be pitching for San Diego State or Bryce Harper would be playing for the Community College of Southern Nevada, and there'd be 75 scouts at the game. What else do you need to see, and how many times do you need to see it?
Well, we just want to make sure. Those 15 batting practice home runs, I could have just had a good day. It's funny, though, all the publications write, when the Diamondbacks go look at a player, you have the #1 pick. You're the team that everyone looks at for obvious reasons. But, Dave Stewart might show up at a high school field or a college game somewhere, and hey, that's Dave Stewart. You're not sneaking in there if you're the Diamondbacks.
Right,
People know who you are. Tomas's double in the first extended his hit streak to 10 games. 2 balls and a strike. They'll keep Pollock close. We recorded a D-backs podcast episode this afternoon, actually. It's not yet up online. We hope it's posted soon at MLB.com and at iTunes. You can download that, listen to that either later tonight or tomorrow. And we did our draft preview show, and we run down with the help of Keith Law all the top 5 guys that we think they might take, trying to narrow the field a bit. And that's a chance to familiarize yourself with some names. So look for D-backs podcast episode 20. Either later today online or certainly at the latest by noon tomorrow it'll be up. And Keith takes us through the 5 guys he thinks the Diamondbacks might take. And he also talks a little bit about some of the prospects for the Diamondbacks, Aaron Blair and Braden Shipley, and Yasmani Tomas as well. So look for that coming up. There goes Pollock again. Tomas shoots it down the right field line. That's a fair ball, and we'll see how fast AJ can run. Andy Green is waving him home. He will score, and it's another RBI double and another multi-hit game for Yasmani Tomas. And the Diamondbacks are back within 1. It's 5-4. Holy cow, is he hot?
Is he ever? Boy, and that is something the Diamondbacks have really done well this year. Capitalized on the opponent's mistakes. Colton Wong booted a routine ground ball right at him at second base. And Yasmani Tomas shoots it down in the corner to score A.J. Pollock, the gentleman who reached on that error.
Yasmani Tomas. He has now hit in 10 straight games. 8 of those are multi-hit games. He's got 3 RBIs tonight, 2 doubles, and Aaron Hill first pitch swing right to Peralta. Tomas will stay put. That's the second inning.
And I keep coming back to the fact that Tomas, there's a chance this guy's just going to continue to get better and better. He's facing pitchers he's never seen before. You can only gather so much information from advanced scouting reports and your teammates' scouting reports and video scouting reports. You've got to get in that batter's box and actually see the delivery, see the release point, see the movement. And these are all guys he is seeing for the first time.
Especially, like we mentioned, a guy like Garcia. He's not seen a lot of left-handers. Garcia's ball moves around a lot. Tough to figure out what he's going to do up there. Yasmani, 2 doubles, 3 RBIs. He's at second with 2 outs for Tuffy Gozowich, who flied out his first time. Skies this one along the left field line. Peralta's got a beat on it. A couple of steps in foul ground, and that's the end of the top of the 3rd. But the Diamondbacks have scored in every inning of the ball game so far. Yasmani Tomas, he's got 2 doubles, 3 RBIs, and the Diamondbacks are back within 1. They trail it 5-4. Sports 1 continues as the Diamondbacks take on the Brew Crew. 1 o'clock Pacific time. Then at 4, it's Baseball Night in America on Fox. As the Dodgers square off against these Cardinals. Coverage starts at 1 o'clock on Ear Home for Baseball every Saturday. Fox and Fox Sports 1. Our esteemed duo in the truck, BB. Director Mitch Regan, producer Bill Cochran are doing that Diamondback Brewer game. You can see that game Saturday afternoon on the big show. Matt Holliday leads off the Cardinal third. Holliday an RBI single in the first. You can watch that game on Fox, and then later in the evening it'll re-air on Fox Sports Arizona. So we got you covered either way. I'm looking at Yasmani Tomas. The numbers, it's just getting stupid over the 10-game hitting streak. Right now he's got 20 hits in his last 43 at bats as Holliday lines one to A.J. Pollock in center. So he's 20 for his last 43 at the plate. A 10-game hitting streak. 5 doubles, a homer, and 9 RBIs during the 10-game streak. That's right after the last at bat. Those are updated.
A nice little tidbit there. As Tomas was running to the right side of the infield to play the exaggerated shift for Matt Adams, he motioned to Archie Bradley, you've got to cover the third base side. We saw Adams bunt for a base hit or try to bunt for a base hit with this exaggerated shift. So as Tomas moved over to the right side, he reminded Archie, you've got to take the bunts on the left side of the infield. Yeah, just kind of a simple thing. Hey, get over. You got to take that left side. I'm leaving.
Fully engaged. Adams a little flare to very shallow left. Ender Inciarte makes the catch. And Adams hits away from that shift as he's done often this year. It's a reason why his slugging percentage and power numbers are down so much. And that little looper run down by Ender.
Yeah, he's got power to all fields, and Ender had to respect that. Was playing deep in left. Got a great jump on the ball. Nice diving catch coming straight in.
Well, that's 5 in a row set down by Archie following the Grichuk homer. And trying for a 1-2-3 inning. Peralta, a 2-run double he scored, a run his first time up. This is very much like the start Archie had last week at Miami. That rough first inning. And then he kind of settled down, able to keep his team in the ball game, get through 5 even though the pitch count was up there. Give his team a chance to win, which they did last week in completing that 4-game sweep at Marlins Park. So the script here in St. Louis tonight very much the same. On the ground to second, right to Aaron Hill. And Archie Bradley works a 1-2-3 third. He has now retired 6 in a row. 5-4 Cardinals here as we head to the 4th. With you, Bob Brenly and Todd Walsh with you. Diamondbacks trail the Cardinals 5-4. It's been a wild ball game so far. Yasmani Tomas 2 for 2, 2 doubles. He's driven in 3 runs. Nick Ahmed his second home run of the year. Randall Grichuk has homered for the Cardinals, who got 4 in the bottom of the first after the Diamondbacks had a 2-0 lead after the top part of that first inning. And here we are in the fourth. Nick Ahmed leads it off. A home run into the Diamondback bullpen out there in left field his first time up. First pitch swinging, rolls it to Peralta.
Archie Bradley making his way to the plate here with 1 out in the inning, and we had documented at the top of the show he needs to start mixing his pitches, using his curveball, using his changeup. Through the first 3 innings, through 30 pitches in that first, 7 curveballs, all the rest were fastballs. Second inning he threw 16 pitches, 8 fastballs, 4 curves, and 4 changeups. And then the 9-pitch third he threw 6 fastballs and 3 curves. So Archie and Tuffy, along with Mike Harkey and the skipper Chip Hale, trying to incorporate those secondary pitches, and he's having some success doing it tonight.
And we heard Chip Hale at the top of our show talk about how the coaches would really like to see Archie mix things up out there. He's seen stretches this year where he is just firing away fastball after fastball. It does seem to help his confidence at times and help him settle into a rhythm out there. But you can only get away with that for so long. And Chip said he thought that Archie's curveball just has not been consistent enough the last 2 starts. And he's just got to throw 3 pitches. He knocks that one into right field. A 1-out single for Bradley. Well, he had his first major league hit on the first pitch he saw in the big leagues against Clayton Kershaw. Now he's got big league hit number 2. Top of the order, Ender Inciarte, who singled up the middle his last time up. He's 1 for 2. He's also lined right to Matt Carpenter at third.
Yeah, really liked his approach in that first at bat. Had Carpenter drawn in to protect against a bunt. Tried to slap it by him. Unfortunately, hit it right at him.
Adams will not hold the runner on the bag at first. He'll play in front of Bradley down there. Dave McKay, longtime Cardinal staffer, back at Busch Stadium, coaching at first. Reaches down and knocks it back to the mound. Garcia will try and turn 2, but Peralta has no throw. Inciarte's aboard. They get the force on Bradley for the second out.
We've seen Garcia bounce a number of pitches to home plate. Unfortunately for the D-backs, he bounced that throw to second base. Peralta had no chance to turn that double play.
So it's Inciarte at first, 2 outs. And the hitter is Mark Trumbo. Mark singled and scored in the first. Grounded out his last time up, 1 for 2.
When the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. A day after every Diamondbacks win, you get 50% off your regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
Pitch out, nothing doing.
Boy, what a difference it makes in the ball game when your team has guys that are threats to run. Steal bases. Diamondbacks third in the National League in stolen bases this year. We've seen opposing teams pitch out against them. We've seen they move their defense differently. We've seen pitchers pitch hitters differently.
Sure enough, there he goes on the pitch after the pitch out, and Molina throws him out. And that ends the top of the 4th inning. Cardinals pitched out. There was no play on. Next pitch, Ender goes, and Yadier Molina throws him out at second. Bottom 4 coming up. Diamondbacks trail it 5-4.
May 26, 1946, Hall of Famer and former D-backs broadcaster Joe Garagiola made his major league debut for the St. Louis Cardinals against the Reds in Cincinnati. That was a 4-3 win for the Cardinals. Joe went 1 for 4, got his first knock in the big leagues on this day in baseball history.
Well done. Crosley Field, Sportsman's Park, some of the great old facilities not around anymore. Molina, an RBI ground out his first time up. Archie Bradley settling in now. Hopefully he's retired the last 6 he's faced. Molina, Hayward, Grichuk 6, 7, and 8 in the Cardinal fourth. Mixing up right there nicely. It's 2-1. Tuffy checked with Molina that time. Yanni kind of shaking out his wrist or his shoulder. Tuffy stood up to give him a moment, it seemed like. That's a courtesy. But Molina, no hurry there to continue the at bat after swinging and missing at the previous pitch. 3-1. Base hit.
While we have a moment, let's take a look at our Valley Honda keys to the game tonight. Notice a different look for Archie Bradley tonight, wearing his anti-knock socks out there on the mound. What he needs is some anti-walk socks. Only 3 hits for the Cardinals tonight, but the first 2 batters walked. Both came around to score, and for all you fishermen out there, catch and release. That one ended up right back where he came from, so I can catch him again next year.
It was raining, I was told from reports earlier in the day, but then you got some nice weather, it looked like.
Rain. Oh, my goodness. We were way out on the far end of the lake in the boat, and it started to sprinkle. And we said, oh, this is not bad. We can deal with this. And before we could get the motor on the boat started, it was pouring.
I'll see if they can start a double play ball here. Aaron Hill had some issues, so no time to turn 2 as Hayward grounds to second. They get the lead runner, Molina.
Right in the heel of the glove and just dropped right down. Has the presence of mind to stay with it and get the force at second base, but probably should have been a double play.
Well, here's Randall Grichuk, the center fielder. We saw Peter Borges get the start out there yesterday. Tonight it's Grichuk. They're still without John Jay, who's coming back from wrist surgery. And Grichuk belted an opposite field home run, his second of the year. And we saw earlier in the ball game, in the top of the second, Nick Ahmed homer. The Diamondbacks shortstop. This is just the 3rd game this year in the National League where both starting 8-hole hitters hit a home run. And it's only the bottom of the 4th inning. Kind of a wild night so far. Cozart and Maldonado for the Reds at the Brewers April 21st. Duffy and LeMahieu, the Giants at Colorado, May 22nd. There goes Hayward, the throw from Gozawish. Hayward's in there. His 5th stolen base this year. He's 5 for 5.
Tough hand to pick that ball out of the dirt behind home plate. That's always going to make it tougher to uncork a good throw, but he puts it right on the money to Aaron Hill. Hayward sliding to the outside of second base out there, just does get his hand in underneath the tag.
Chris Guccione, the second base umpire. So now the Diamondbacks not able to turn 2 on a tailor-made double play ball. And as a result, with a stolen base, the Cardinals have a runner in scoring position and a 1-0 count to Grichuk. Up and in, misses. 2 balls and no strikes. Grichuk came into the ball game 267 and 1 homer. This was number 2. And he has started just 9 games all year for the Cardinals. He started in all 3 outfield spots. Lines it into left field, a base hit. Oquendo is waving Hayward. Here's the throw. Tomas cuts it off, and it's 6-4. Randall Grichuk, his second hit, his second RBI. And he is winning them over in St. Louis.
Oh, hit like a bullet through the left side. Jose Oquendo was waving Hayward the whole way. We know Ender Inciarte has a good arm. Unfortunately, his throw was tailing up the first baseline.
Here comes Mike Harkey.
Tomas did the right thing that time. You let that ball go through. Tuffy's trying to hold his ground at home plate. Maybe can't react quickly enough to get up the first baseline. If you see that ball tailing offline as badly as it was, go ahead and cut it and see if you can get the batter runner now going around first base.
Well, the Diamondbacks have out-hit the Cardinals 7-5, but they trail it 6-4. Vidal Nuno just called up from Reno today. Enrique Burgos on the DL with right shoulder tendonitis, and Nuno will start throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Archie so far 64 pitches, only 35 strikes. He had retired 6 straight coming into this inning. And the Diamondbacks can't turn 2 on an easy double play ball, and it costs them a run. Here's Garcia now. Tomas halfway in at third. Cardinals, the best record in baseball at the start of play today, 29-16. 4.5 games ahead of the Cubs atop the National League Central. And very hard to beat in this ballpark. They are 16-5 at Busch Stadium this year. Tomas creeps in again. Garcia shows bunt. Pulls back, it's ball 1. Take a look at the National League Central standings. Pirates right at 500. McCutchen's playing on a bad knee. They've had some bullpen problems. The Reds and the Brewers almost both pretty much out of it at this point. Could be a long year in Milwaukee. We're there for 3 starting Friday. There goes the runner. Grichuk takes off. Throw is high from Tuffy. And Randall Grichuk has his first stolen base. He's got all the tools. He's a legit 5-tool guy. Probably their best defensive outfielder, even with Hayward out there, they say. Tremendous power, and he can run too.
Now the swing forced Tuffy to stay back just a little bit that time. Occasionally, if you see a guy's going to take the pitch, you can cheat and get out in front of home plate and shorten that throw to second base. But because Garcia swung through that ball, he was forced to stay back and couldn't get enough on the throw to get Grichuk.
Swings through the 1-2 pitch now. Kozowicz will complete the strikeout. That's the third for Archie. 2 down, and we'll look at Colton Wong. Wong walked and scored to lead off the ball game. He grounded out his last time up. First 3 in the Cardinal first reached against Archie Bradley, and all 3 scored. Walks to Wong and Carpenter, and a single by Matt Holliday. Wong top 10 in the league in hitting coming into the ball game tonight. Actually just 1 spot behind Matt Carpenter. And he was 3 for 5 with a double last night. He's got a 9-game hitting streak. Take a look at our T-Mobile game-changing player. We talked about this last night, how the Cardinals have really found a nice mix here with Wong leading off and Matt Carpenter batting second. You can see Wong the last 6 games batting leadoff, an on-base percentage over 500. Hard to beat that. Getting on base more than half the time as the leadoff man. And he's ahead 2 balls and no strikes.
Pick off play on at second base there. Nick Ahmed had snuck in behind Grichuk.
He was way off the bag down there too, but Tuffy just lost the handle.
Just lost the handle trying to be quick. He might have had him down there. He was way off that bag at second.
Archie behind in the count, 3 balls and no strikes. There's a strike. Much discussion, and rightfully so, about the year Deke Gordon is having in Miami, but overlooked as the all-star caliber year that Colton Wong has had at second base in St. Louis. Third walk of the ball game issued by Archie Bradley. And the Cardinals have a pair of 2-out base runners for Matt Carpenter. That's going to be it. So Archie here in this start at Busch Stadium will survive only 3 2/3. Fidel Nuno on his way in. We take a break from St. Louis. Log on to foxsportsarizona.com/beattheheat. Enter the word legend for your chance to win a trip to San Diego for the July 4th weekend. All throughout May, we'll give you a word of the day every game. And once you see it, go to foxsportsarizona.com/beattheheat and enter that word. The more times you enter, the better your chances. All the info you need is at foxsportsarizona.com. The password is legend.
Take it.
A whole wall full of them here at Busch Stadium. El Nuno, speaking of legends, is on for the Diamondbacks. And he inherits a bit of a mess here. Made that terrific appearance in long relief after Josh Colmenter struggled May 11th versus Washington. That was at Chase Field. And he was tremendous. 6 2/3, a career high 8 strikeouts, the second longest relief appearance in Diamondbacks history. He threw 105 pitches, so hopefully Nuno can give them some innings here, but he's got some work to do. 2 on and 2 out for Matt Carpenter. Carpenter walked and scored in the first. He grounded out his last time up, 0 for 1. He's got Grichuk, the runner, at second, and Colton Wong at first, so good speed on the bases. Nuno's last appearance with AAA Reno. A start Saturday at Omaha against the Storm Chasers. He got the loss, 5 runs, 6 hits, 5 2/3. He pitched well in his start previous to that. That was last Sunday against Sacramento. 6 scoreless, gave up only 4 hits. There's the strike. He's ahead 1 2. Nuno 8 starts with Reno this year, pitching for Phil Nevin and the Aces. 3 3 in those 8 starts, a 3.38 ERA. Only 8 walks allowed against 41 strikeouts in 50 innings of work. A ball and 2 strikes. Come on. Oh, Chris Siegel.
Just off the corner and down, but what a great location right there ahead in the count. That's exactly where you want to throw that slider. Try to get Carpenter to chase something out of the zone.
Rather have it there than hang it to a guy like this who's shown a lot more power this year. He swings through that one, so El Nino comes in and puts out the fire. He strikes out Carpenter and strands 2. And we are through 4. Diamondbacks. Matchup. Diamondback Live pregame show comes your way at 4:30 on Fox Sports Arizona from here at Busch Stadium. Josh Colmenter, who's really had some rough outings lately, trying to find it again against the hard-throwing Lance Lynn in the series finale. Hopefully that's the rubber game. Diamondbacks can come back and win this one. Jaime Garcia, just his second start this year. He's got a 6-4 lead. He'll work to Trumbo, Goldschmidt, and Pollock 2, 3, and 4 in the Diamondback fifth. D-backs have out hit the Cardinals so far, 7-5, but trail at 6-4. Archie Bradley tonight went only 3 2/3. He walked 3. 2 of those walks scored. Trumbo singled and scored in the first. He's 1 for 2. Garcia had to be shut down in spring training, complications after shoulder surgery. And that's been nothing new for him. Every time he goes out there in St. Louis, they tell us they just keep their fingers crossed and he'll be able to get through the ball game. He's just been wrecked by injuries the last few years. In fact, since the beginning of the 2013 season, Jaime Garcia has made only 17 starts. Been through a whole bunch of injuries, especially the last 2.5 years. Although it all really started his rookie year in 08, when in September of that season he had Tommy John surgery, missed all of 09. But came back the following year and pitched very well. In fact, over the next 3 seasons, was one of their best pitchers. Made 80 starts, won 33 games, had a 3.36 ERA. But then 2012, he was on the DL for more than 60 games with shoulder problems. 2 years ago, only made 9 starts after surgery. Had to repair tears in the labrum and the rotator cuff. Then last year, only 7 starts. They found out he needed thoracic outlet surgery. And he strikes out Trumbo. 4 strikeout for Jaime Garcia.
Yeah, Josh Colmenter starting tomorrow, as you mentioned. Interesting little interplay there in the third base dugout. Josh talking to Cliff Pennington about the rotation on some of the pitches, whether it's his pitches or Jaime Garcia's pitches, maybe Archie Bradley's pitches. But these are the kind of things that happen on a bench and in a bullpen during a game. Guy may say, well, how does he get the ball to do that? And then the pitcher will say, well, you hold it off center a little bit, you pull down, you keep a stiff wrist, you keep a loose wrist. for the education of hitters learning from pitchers and pitchers learning from hitters.
That's typical Josh, too, because the last time we had a shot of him like that sitting in the dugout, he was unraveling a baseball.
Yeah.
He fouls that one off. Now he's giving a pitching clinic.
Unraveled that baseball to get to the milk chocolate center.
Got to get him back on track. The velocity's been down. He's not quite the same guy that we're used to seeing. Goldie 0 for 2 so far. And he's down, no balls and 2 strikes. He strikes out for the second time tonight. 2 down. 5 strikeouts for Jaime Garcia.
Well, Goldie just doesn't seem to be picking the ball up well at all against Jaime Garcia tonight. And sometimes there are guys like that. Just their delivery, their release point, their windup. There's something about them that causes you to be distracted and not pick up the ball as quickly as you need to.
It's funny. You'll hear some hitters say, "Yeah, I was really seeing the ball well," or other guys say, "Yeah, I just couldn't pick it up well, couldn't see it."
You'll have one teammate that's 9 for 11 against an opposing pitcher, and the other guy's 0 for 11 with 10 strikeouts. And they talk to each other all the time. How do you see him so well? How do you hit him so well? I don't know. It's just I see it big.
0-1 to AJ, who scored twice tonight. A double in the first. He reached on a Colton Wong error his last time up. Well, Pennington thinks he's a pitcher. That's the other part of this.
I was just going to say, emergency pitcher would probably be Cliff Pennington. Emergency catcher, emergency pitcher, emergency everything. So maybe he's fine-tuning his arsenal just in case we need him.
I mean, guys come out to throw warm-ups while the other team is taking batting practice, and they'll throw to each other. But Pennington will pitch, and he thinks he can throw a knuckleball. And I think he's trying to talk Holmenter into it right here. But you'll see somebody catch him down in a crouch, and he'll throw that knuckler. This one knuckles to Colton Wong. So a quick 1-2-3-5 for Jaime Garcia. The pitching clinic continues. Bottom 5 coming up. Diamondbacks down 2. Your pooch to the park at Chase Field next Saturday, June 6th. Diamondbacks and the New York Mets. It's Bark at the Park, presented by Avaderm and Nylabone. Register your dog online. Remember, you got to do that before the game. You got to register your dog, so sign up at dbacks.com/bark in the park. My dogs are backing. And Holiday leads off the Cardinal 5th against Fidel Nuno on in relief of Archie Bradley, who went just 3 2/3 tonight. Holiday, an RBI single. He scored a run in the first. He's 1 for 2. It's been a while since you had to dog sit, come to think of it.
It's funny you bring that up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, all next week. Dog sitting Cooper.
Well, maybe you could train him to, run out there in the pond and hit some of the fish.
I think Cooper would be scared of the fish.
He's not a brave animal.
No, he's a house dog.
He's not one of those, Paris Hilton foo-foo dogs.
No.
All right. Nuno has faced 2 batters and struck them both out, Carpenter and Holiday. And the St. Louis lineup has 3 Matts in a row. Matt Carpenter, Matt Holiday, and here comes Big City Matt Adams. Adams 0 for 2. He has struck out and flied out. And that gets you back to J.C. Ramirez, who went through the 3 Matts last night with a tremendous pitching performance. 9th inning after Grichuk and Wong singled, 2 on, nobody out. 9th inning, and he struck out all 3 Matts in a row. Came in, got the side. Carpenter, Holiday, Adams. Good morning, good afternoon, good night. 10th inning didn't go quite as well, but the 9th inning was good. Here he is in the 9th. The Matt trifecta.
Yeah, how about that?
Carpenter, Holiday, and Adams. There's that low strike by Lance Barksdale we talked about. And Adams belts this one into the right field corner. It bounces off the wall. Big City takes the turn, and he hurt himself. He hurt himself halfway, and he'll limp into second. And that's his 7th double. But now we'll check on the Cardinals' first baseman. Stopped halfway to the bag there, almost a complete stop. And something is clearly wrong.
Looks like right leg, upper part of the right leg.
Well, they've had, this is interesting, they've had a pretty successful platoon at first base. Adams, the lefty, and former D-back Mark Reynolds, the right-hand bat. So now with Nuno in there, the left-hand pitcher, it's not a terrible thing that they get Reynolds in the ball game anyway, but they didn't want it to be like this. So Reynolds will come in and run for Adams, the other half of their first base platoon in St. Louis.
Just kind of awkwardly hit the bag at first with his left foot, and then immediately went into a limp on his right leg as he's walked off the field here. That ball took a real odd hop down in the right field corner. It looked like if it had hit the fence and ricocheted off in a normal manner, Trumbo might have been able to hold Adams to a single, but there's some kind of a door out there in the right field corner, and the ball hit the ground first, hit the top of the door, and dropped straight down.
And so Reynolds, the former Diamondback, his 5th different team in 4 seasons, is the runner at second base for Adams with 1 out, and here's Peralta. Strike 1. Peralta, a 2-run double. He scored a run in the first, rounded out his last time. So he's at safely now in 20 of his last 22. Peralta, his 13th year in the big leagues, his 2nd season in St. Louis. Got a 4-year, $53 million free agent deal after 4 seasons in Detroit. And had a good year last year, hit .263, 21 home runs. Belts that one foul down the left field line. Parts of 8 seasons in Cleveland, was a .264 hitter there. 320 homer seasons with the Indians. Was twice an All-Star during his 3.5 years as a Tiger. Nuno ahead 1-2. Chases, just gets a piece of it. Tuffy can't hang on, and he stays alive. Molina on deck. Nuno on in relief of Archie Bradley. Diamondback Live post-game show. You'll hear about Archie's start in our post-game show right after the ball game. Todd Walsh will be in the Diamondback clubhouse gathering sound for us. 2-2 pitch. Now he strikes him out. Third strikeout already for Nuno. He's only faced 4 batters.
Just very subtle differences between Nuno's pitches. His sinker, it doesn't have a lot of biting sink, but it moves enough to get it off the barrel of the bat. The slider at times can be big if he gets his hand outside the ball. At other times it looks like a cutter. Everything designed just to keep the ball off the barrel, and when he's on top of his game, he can miss the bat completely.
Well, he had a bad start here or there last year with the Diamondbacks. Molina, a base hit and an RBI in the ball game, but far more often than not last year, Nuno was very effective. 14 starts with the Diamondbacks last season, and he gave up more than 3 earned runs only 3 times. 3 earned runs or fewer in 7 of his last 8 starts last year. Talk about they wanted Archie Bradley to mix things up. Well, Nuno, he's the king of mixing it up. He's got to do it, and he is rolling along right now. He's got 4 strikeouts. He has struck out 4 of the 5 Cardinals he's faced so far. Here's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Yasmani Tomas, red hot, 2 doubles already. He leads off the 6th.
Well, there's no doubt that he's made, a couple of, physical adjustments. So just being able to stay back a little bit more, trying to clean his bat path up. He's getting a little luck, hitting to a little luck too, and that always helps too. But in order to hit for a little luck, you got to put the ball in play, and that's one thing that he's done on a regular basis. He's able to put the ball in play. He's got a really good eye at the plate. He's able to got good recognition on off-speed pitches.
Well, Turner Ward, Diamondbacks hitting coach, on the red-hot Yasmani Tomas so far. A pair of RBI doubles. He's now hit safely in 10 straight games. 8 of those are multi-hit games. And as he steps in here, he is a remarkable 20 for his last 43 at the plate. Mark Reynolds stays in the game and takes over for the injured Matt Adams at first. What does Bob Turner mean when he says clean his bat path up?
I'm not quite sure.
I know that's Alabama, but
yeah, I mean, it means something to him and it means something to the players. That's one thing when players change teams. One of the first things you have to do is get on the same page with terminology. What do you mean by that? I would assume it means that occasionally Yasmani's bat path wasn't directly to the ball. He had a little loop in it, or he stayed inside the ball too long. Something that caused him not to get the bat out in front and hit that ball squarely.
Well, he sure has squared it up so far tonight, down 0-2. This one is on the ground to Peralta, the backhander at shortstop. Low throw, but Reynolds has it. And that's the first out in the 6th. They retire Tomas for the first time. Here's Aaron Hill, who's 0 for 2. Jaime Garcia leads at 6-4. Diamondbacks have out-hit the Cardinals so far, 7-6, but they trail at 6-4. Aaron 0 for 3, couple of strikeouts in his last start. That was Sunday against the Cubs at Chase Field. 245 on the year. He's had a very good month of May. This is in the hole and into left, a base hit. One out base runner for the Diamondbacks. Brings up Tuffy Gozowich. Big change for the Diamondbacks last night was the fact that, and we've almost become spoiled, is that the 7 and 8 hitters, Tuffy and Ahmed, went hitless last night. And so often in the last week or so, we've seen them come up with a number of big hits. Ahmed, in fact, has a home run tonight. But that seemed to be the difference if you looked at the game last night as a whole. That was the one thing that was missing from more recent Diamondback wins. And it shows you how important, and this was a big issue earlier in the year, you got to have production from all 8 position players. It can't just be top heavy up there.
Yeah, because when you think about it, the guys in the middle of the lineup, the Goldies and Tomas and Aaron Hill, whoever it happens to be on a given day, those guys figure to get on base, and somebody's got to drive them in.
Swing and bunt. Tapper, tough play. Reynolds is on it. Garcia covers, and he can't make a play. And now Aaron Hill alertly is in at third. Garcia looked like he almost tried to barehand that one, reaching behind his body while he was running toward the first base bag. Reynolds had come well off the bag to get that one. And the Diamondbacks have runners on the corners with 1 out.
Yeah, I think you're right about the barehanded play by Garcia. Can't get the grounder there. That's a tough toss from behind him off his fingertips as he was looking to find the base over there.
So you've got Derek Lilliquist out there, the pitching coach for the Cardinals. There is action in their bullpen. Seth Manis, who looked so good here last night, warming up again. Aaron Hill, the runner at third. Tuffy Gozowich at first. 1 out, and it's Nick Ahmed at the plate. Nick homered in the second, his second of the year. I think they're going to rule that an error on Reynolds at first. Yes, it is. Error on the throw to Garcia covering, so E3 puts Gozowich at first. Second error tonight by St. Louis.
The Carpenter playing back at third. We've seen Nick bunt in these situations before.
Our Chaz Roberts air conditioning. Cool play of the game. Nick Ahmed in the second.
Well, it looked like a breaking ball. It just stayed out over the plate. Got just enough to get it into the D-backs bullpen.
And an RBI chance here with Garcia. About to throw pitch number 90. In there for a strike, 1-1. Pitcher spot is due up next, and Chris Owings is in the on-deck circle. Daniel Hudson had been throwing in the Diamondback bullpen. Nuno has been tremendous. He struck out 4 of the 5 he's faced. And a chance to get some runs on the board, but this is a double play chance and an inning ender for the Cardinals. Ahmed hits into the 6-4-3. That ends the threat. And the Cardinals turn 2. We go to the bottom of the 6th at Busch Stadium. Diamondbacks trail at 6-4. Bottom 6, Fidel Nuno on in relief of Archie Bradley. And he has been tremendous out of the bullpen. Just called up today from AAA Reno. Enrique Burgos went on the DL with a case of right shoulder inflammation. Nuno has faced 5 Cardinals batters, and he's got 4 strikeouts. And as he goes back out there to open up the home half of the 6th, they'll work to the lower third of the St. Louis order. Jason Hayward leads it off. Jaime Garcia. By the way, we have, speaking of Jason Hayward, we've talked a lot about his trade from Atlanta. Here to St. Louis. He'll be a free agent at the end of the year. That one up and in. And be careful there with Hayward, who was, as you can tell by that face guard, hit in the face earlier in his career. And it looked a little something like this.
Yeah, Jonathan Neese back in 2013. Oh my. Took it right to the jaw.
But I mentioned the trade of Hayward to St. Louis from Atlanta. Fox Sports' Ken Rosenthal reporting that the Braves and Dodgers have completed a trade. That's done pending approval from Major League Baseball. It's a 6-player deal that has Uribe going from LA to Atlanta. Trevor Cahill may be involved in that deal as well. So we could have a situation where the Dodgers this year have on their staff Brandon McCarthy, Mike Bolsinger, and Trevor Cahill. All the details are not out yet as Hayward strikes out, but looks like Callaspo is going between the Braves and the Dodgers. Uribe on his way to Atlanta. And Ken Rosenthal reporting that the trade is done pending approval of Major League Baseball office. Trying to give you all the specific names. Randall Grichuk, a homer and a single. He's driven in 2. Garcia, who was not originally in the on-deck circle, but since the leadoff man didn't get aboard, Hayward struck out. He may let Garcia take the at-bat and go back out there for the 7th. How about Nuno? And now Garcia goes back in the dugout after all, and Pete Kozma looks like he'll take the at-bat. Grichuk, did he hold up? Yes, he did, says Eric Cooper. Two and 2. Popped up first base side. Goldie's under it, and they retired Grichuk for the first time tonight. And now Pete Kozma will hit for Jaime Garcia. So Garcia's night is over. Kozma, who a couple of years ago was the starting shortstop here, has now turned into a super utility guy. He'll take the at bat. Looks like the Dodgers and Braves exchanging a total of 6 players. Alberto Callaspo and Juan Uribe are in the deal. And that's Eric Stultz might be involved in that trade. Trevor Cahill as well. Nothing final yet. Kozma, 122 on the year and still without an extra base hit. And he has been all over the field defensively. He started games at shortstop, second base, third base. He's seen time at first base and left field. Former first-round pick by the Cardinals. They thought he'd be their shortstop of the future, but he just didn't hit. And so they had to go out and give Johnny Peralta $53 million. And Kozma's, it seems, has settled into a new role here as the guy who plays all over. Drives it toward Trumbo near the right field line. And Fidel Nuno works a 1-2-3-6. 7th inning coming up. Diamondbacks trail the Cardinals 6-4.
Todd's Garage, which is actually my garage, which I received coming to a game at the old Busch Stadium in the summer of '78. No hanging chads on my ballot, and obviously the All-Star game is coming up here in just a little bit in Major League Baseball, and the American League voting results were released earlier today. Tomorrow we presume the National League, and a Diamondbacks Live, the pregame show. I'm going to sit down with Mark Grace, a guy that we've shared so many conversations with over the years. We're almost identical in age, and we're going to go through that 1978 All-Star ballot. I lament the fact that you can't get the actual hard copy ballot anymore. I know where we are in 2015 and everything is online and with computers, but I used to love coming to the ballpark, Major League parks, minor league parks, and filling out those ballots. So Mark and I will go over 1978. I will tell you, I did vote for Bucky Dent. A little bit of foreshadowing.
I'm sorry, we're done here.
I figured you'd say that.
Sorry, Todd, we're out of time. Thanks very much.
Okie dokie then.
Bucky Bleepin' Dent. Thanks very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Matt Belisle, a former Rocky, is out there to replace Jaime Garcia. Pennington hits for Nuno. As we start the 7th, Todd Walsh will have all the reaction from Diamondback Clubhouse on our postgame show, Diamondback Live, right after the ball game. Cliff at 167 on the year. Had a couple of Rhodes Scholars run onto the onto the field during the break there, and they had to be tackled by about 12 security guards. It was great to see.
Seemed like a good idea when they patched it out there in the bleachers, but not so much in the execution.
Idiots. It's a foul ball. Cliff, you might recall, had one of the big hits of the ball game in that series finale at Miami last week as the Diamondbacks completed a 4-game sweep. Big RBI double that opened up the door to a 4-run D-back 6th. And he's on to hit for Nuno to lead off the 7th. How about the socks on Matt Belisle?
Real old school.
Pennington slaps it the other way. Leadoff man aboard. Well, they had the pitching clinic earlier. Must have picked something up.
Not quite so sure at that point of the ball game they knew it was going to be Matt Belisle that Cliff got his at bat against, but hey, if that's what it takes, work with Josh every day.
9th hit for the Diamondbacks. They have out hit the Cardinals 9-6 so far. Ender Inciarte, one of those hits, a single in the 2nd. Ender bunts it right back to the mound. Belisle has only one play, and he throws him out. Pennington moves up. 1-3 on the sacrifice. Here's Mark Trumbo.
That's kind of a can't-lose situation for Ender Inciarte. I don't believe he was bunting the sacrifice right there. I think he was trying to bunt for a base hit. And if you happen to be thrown out and the runner advances from first to second, you're credited with a sacrifice, even though your intention was to get on base via a bunt base hit.
Well, the guys in the truck have been scoring again. Trumbo, this is correct. Singled and scored in the 1st, struck out his last time. This in the air toward Hayward and right. Pennington will bluff and hold. Hayward has got a big time arm out there. So 2 pitches, 2 outs after the leadoff single, and here's Goldie. Goldie so far 0 for 3. He has struck out twice. Was not seeing the ball, as Bob mentioned, at all well against Garcia. Let's see how he does against Matt Belisle.
Goldie 4 for 11 lifetime against the Cardinals right-hander, including 3 singles in his last 3 at-bats.
mentioned the All-Star balloting. Todd talked about, brought his ballot with him. Goldie an All-Star last season for the second year in a row, and just the fourth fan-elected All-Star in Diamondbacks history. And as Todd mentioned, the paper ballots, they're dinosaurs right now. First year that we have not had those. Electronic voting only for the All-Star game. That'll be in Cincinnati this year on Fox. 2-1. Last year, Goldie received more than 3.5 million votes, nearly 2 million more All-Star votes than Adrian Gonzalez at the position for the National League. One misses away. It's 3 balls and a strike. A.J. Pollock on deck.
That noise you hear in the background is not a chicken scratching in the dirt. That's A.J. Pollock over there in the on-deck circle, or close to the on-deck circle, as they're going to now go ahead and walk Goldie intentionally.
Yeah, we got a field mic taped to the backstop down there, and it's kind of low, and you can pick up the noise from the on-deck circle. There they are, hidden in there. We see and hear everything. So a threat here for the Diamondbacks. 2 on, 2 out. A.J. Pollock doubled and scored in the first. Reached on an error by Colton Wong and scored in the third. Rounded out his last time up. Pennington is the runner at second. Goldie at first. A.J. red hot coming into tonight, 12 for his last 25. By the way, we're told, remember Matt Adams left the ball game for the Cardinals. We're told it's a strained right quadriceps for the Cardinal first baseman. Reynolds has taken over at first, the former Diamondback, as Pollock looks at ball 2. There's Mark Reynolds. Misses, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. And Tomas would be next. Fell behind on Goldie, had to give him the intentional pass. And now Pollock's ahead 3-0. Molina will go have a chat with Belisle.
I think if the Diamondbacks were down by a run, you might see A.J. get the green light here with a runner in scoring position, but since they're down by 2 runs, I think he's going to be taking this 3-0 pitch, maybe even the 3-1 pitch.
Especially with Tomas behind him. Seth Banis pitched last night and was very effective. 1 scoreless inning with 1 strikeout, got the side on 7 pitches, and he's busy again for the second time tonight in the Cardinal bullpen. Three-0. Taking all the way. The bases are loaded for Yasmani Tomas. Back-to-back walks issued by Matt Belisle. Derek Lilliquist quickly to the mound, and the Cardinal infield will join them. Got behind on Goldie, gave him the free pass, and then walked Pollock. So he's in a bases-loaded jam here with 2 outs. Series finale for you from Busch Stadium here in St. Louis tomorrow. Diamondback Live pregame show at 4:30 on Fox Sports Arizona. And that is Josh Colmenter versus Lance Lynn. 7 straight balls now for Belisle. Cliff Pennington is at third. Paul Goldschmidt at second. And A.J. Pollock, the runner, at first. Yasmani Tomas, 2 for 3, a pair of doubles. He's got 3 RBIs. And now a 10-game hit streak. Bases full, 2 outs. in there tonight for the first time against a right-hand pitcher after 3 at-bats against the lefty Garcia. Tomas over 380 this year versus right-hand pitching. And he's down 0-2. 12 of their 17 hits in this series have come with 2 strikes. They have had big 2-out RBIs all season long. Chance to at least tie the ball game up with 1 swing. Got him. Diamondbacks down 2, leave them loaded in the 7th. Couple of big walks by Matt Belisle to lower them up, and he comes through with a strikeout. We stretch in St. Louis. Diamondbacks down 6-4.
Got hit in the face, you know, I was just trying to come back in the clubhouse after playing catch and turn around and get hit. But, you know, I was just, nothing really went through my mind at first. I was just hoping that, you know, no teeth were knocked out or anything like that, and it wasn't too serious, and luckily that's what it was.
You almost killed one of the Diamondbacks relievers. Have you offered an apology to Daniel Hudson?
No, he actually texted me the picture of his face. I actually texted my brother, then he texted me, and then yeah, you know, we got big league hitters hitting. You got to pay attention, right, Charles?
That's right. Did you call chin though when you hit it? Did you say chin?
We were all going heads up, but I don't know what happened.
Well, that was before the game yesterday, a frightening moment. Unfortunately, Daniel's okay. Took one in the chin while the Cardinals were hitting, and he's back out there tonight on in relief of Archie Bradley and Vidal Nuno. Nuno was outstanding, and Huddy making his 15th appearance this year. Colton Wong leads off the inning for the Cardinals. He's 0 for 1. He's walked twice and scored a run. Got to watch out. You know, if he's texting people pictures of his face, you'll get fined, because Archie Bradley has started to really stack up some hefty kangaroo court fines for selfies.
Too bad you can't do that with the general public. Too many selfies. We got to fine you.
Just start a kangaroo court for life.
The national debt would be erased in moments.
Boy, Kim Kardashian would be doing 20 to life. Long strikes out.
Yeah, I ran into Huddy down in the dugout before the ball game, asked him if he was doing okay. He says, yeah, I guess I know I can take a punch now. And of course, the Diamondbacks training staff extremely careful with Daniel, as they are with anybody who suffers any kind of an injury to the head or the face. Wanted to make sure he cleared all the concussion protocols. Huddy said he had a little bit of a headache, but Other than that, he was fine.
You can see he got it right on the chin. Matt Carpenter walked and scored in the first. He's 0 for 2. Boy, and Fidel Nuno was terrific in relief of Archie Bradley. Faced 8 batters, gave up just 1 hit, had 5 strikeouts. So he punched out 5 of the 8 he faced, and Hudson has opened up with a strikeout here in the 7th. Carpenter's got a 6-game hit streak going. That's on the line here. Big change for Carpenter. He's always been a leadoff guy. Walked a lot, very high on base percentage guy, run scored type. And he is again this year, but he's more of a power threat up there at the plate. Off the fist, a little looper right to Ahmed. And that's the second out. Hey fans, follow the Diamondbacks all season long with MLB.com at bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball. At bat is up to the moment at any moment. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and a whole lot more. Get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Matt Holliday. RBI single and scored a run in the first. Diamondbacks had a 2-0 lead after a half inning. Yasmani Tomas a 2-run double, but the Cardinals in the home half of the first answered with 4 against Archie Bradley. Holliday had an RBI single, Peralta a 2-run double, Yadier Molina an RBI groundout. This is in the seats. Big cut at that one, 96, and Huddy throws it right by him, 1-2.
Pitchers have a term they use. The ball is coming out of my hand nicely. Well, Daniel Hudson right now just pouring fastballs in there, all in the upper 90s. Seems to be leaving his hand very nicely.
Slider there, lifted behind the Cardinal dugout in the seats. He's been throwing hard since spring training, which has been great to see. Holliday drives it toward left center field, and that rolls all the way to the wall. Matt Holliday thinking 3, he's going to take the turn, and he is a dead duck at third base. Thank you very much, Matt Holliday, thrown out at third to end the inning. That's a Cardinal sin, pardon the pun. Well, he had his 10th double. That's in the books, but saw Inciarte and Pollock bobbling the ball a bit on the warning track out there, but he's an easy out at third, and he sends us to the 8th in St. Louis. This is what he saw in left center field.
Yeah, some confusion. I got it. You take it. No, you take it. No, I got it. No, you take it. Ender ultimately picks up the ball and gets it to Nick Ahmed, who fires a strike to Tomas at third.
I mean, that was right down the middle. Either guy, I got it, you take it.
Hey, that worked. He fell right into our trap. Nicely done.
And so here we are in the 8th inning. Diamondbacks still down 6-4. Matt Belisle back out there, and it's Aaron Hill to lead it off. Hill goes to Wish Ahmed, 6, 7, 8. The Diamondbacks caught a break there. I mean, that's one of the Cardinal sins. Don't make the first or third out of the inning at third base, because you would have had a runner at third and Reynolds coming up. Instead, it's the end of the inning. That's in the seats,
which I'm sure made Mark Reynolds very happy.
I'm sure he's thrilled.
Man, that's one of those ones you can't even blame on the third base coach, because the play was right in front of Matt Holliday. He saw what was going on out there on the warning track, and in his judgment, he thought he could get to third base.
Aaron Hill strikes out for the second time tonight. One down in the 8th.
Cutter from Belisle that time.
So if he goes a Wish. Bounce to shortstop, Johnny Peralta. Hey, fans, enter now for a chance to win a trip to the MLB All-Star Game on Fox in Cincinnati. For you and 3 of your friends, just upload 2 photos at foxsports.com/fantasticallstar now through June the 3rd. Midsummer Classic from Great American Ballpark, only on Fox. Here's Nick Ahmed, 1 for 3, homered in the second.
That home run derby should be quite the spectacle this year.
In that ballpark, you better believe it. That is a tiny little ballpark in Cincinnati. It will probably be very humid there. One or one. Now Bonnie doing a lot of talking. Hopefully somebody that speaks Spanish.
Getting 2 hits a game is the universal language of baseball. You can say whatever you want. Everybody on your team is going to agree with you.
Ahmed down the right field line, and that drops in there, a fair ball. Nick's second hit tonight and his second extra base hit. And he's in at second with 2 outs. And now David Peralta is going to come up and hit for the pitcher's spot. Nick Ahmed, a homer in the second, now his 3rd double of the year here in the 8th.
Well, that pitch was actually off the plate. You could see Yadier Molina reaching way out off the outside corner, and somehow Nick covered the plate, drove it down into that right field corner for a 2-out double.
Well, the Diamondbacks left the bases loaded in the 7th, and now they have a runner in scoring position with 2 outs in the 8th. And Peralta is the hitter. David, 243 and 4 homers. He's got 21 RBIs. Walked 3 times in last night's ball game. And David, despite the fact that he is scuffling throughout the month of May, has had a knack for the big hit. His consistency at the plate has faltered here this month. He's batting about 170 over his last 15 games. Check swing foul. And quickly he's down 0-2. Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th will have 4, 5, and 6. Reynolds, Peralta, Molina, Addison Reed in the D-back bullpen. Called strike 3.
Oh, man.
Chris Siegel rings up Peralta. And once again, the Diamondbacks down 2, strand a runner in scoring position. Bottom 8 coming up. Diamondbacks trail at 6-4. The Cox Gig Life high-speed highlights as we open up the bottom of the 8th inning here in St. Louis. New pitcher for the Diamondbacks is the right-hander Addison Reed, his 17th appearance of the year, and he'll work to the heart of the St. Louis order. Mark Reynolds, Johnny Peralta, Yadier Molina, 4, 5, and 6. Addison was sensational in his last appearance Sunday at Chase Field against the Cubs. He came on to work the 8th inning in that ball game. Had a 1-run lead and worked a 1-2-3 inning through only 9 pitches, 7 strikes. Working on those new mechanics. 1-1 to Reynolds. Talked about working on the extreme first base side of the rubber. He had been on the third base side, trying to help get less of a crossfire motion by moving closer to the first base bag and not throwing across his body so much. And of course, that front foot used to have that high leg kick. Now that front foot stays low to the ground and plants much more quickly. Pushes off with that back leg. And they think that's led to improved fastball command. But he's behind on Reynolds, 3-1.
Boy, this should be some kind of swing here if Addison Reed gets that ball close to the strike zone.
92.
Mark Reynolds does not get cheated when he has the count in his favor. He anticipates fastball, especially middle of the plate in. Had it right there for him. Fouled it off.
He's found a role here in St. Louis. 253 with 3 homers. And he has hit some long ones over the course of his career. Reaches out, broken back, grounds it to first. Goldie takes it himself, one away.
The Cardinals with a 2-run lead in the ball game. You think back to last night's ball game. Colton Wong doubled to lead it off. Later came around to score on a fielder's choice by Matt Adams. So they took a quick 1-0 lead in the first, pushed it to 2-0 in the fourth, and it stayed that way for a while. And it felt like an insurmountable lead. It felt like the Cardinals were just dominating the game. But then in the 8th inning, an Inciarte single followed by a Mark Trumbo homer, and we had ourselves a tie ball game. We're in the same situation here. Put a 0 on the board, give your offense a chance.
There is no action right now in the Cardinal bullpen. Diamondbacks in the top of the 9th. They'll have the top of the order. Inciarte, Trumbo, Goldie. Going up and into Peralta. A 2-run double in the first. He's 1 for 3. A look from behind the plate here at Busch Stadium. A big crowd here, 41,107. They have had at least 40,000 fans for every home game this year, and that's one big reason why they are 16-5 this season here at Busch. That's a home court advantage.
Yeah,
16-5. 2 balls and a strike. Buckled on that time, and it's in there, 2-2. "60 feet, 6 inches. It's down and away. It's full. Into 3-2 on Reynolds. Now it's a full count on Peralta. Molina on deck. The offensive heroes for the Diamondbacks tonight, Nick Ahmed, the shortstop, a home run in the second, a double in the 8th. This is the first multi-extra base hit game of Nick's career. Congratulations to him. That one is just over his head as Peralta dunks it into left center field. He's 2 for 4. Yadier Molina. RBI ground out in the first. He singled in the fourth. He struck out his last time up.
And Molina's a guy that Mike Matheny likes to play hit and run with. Handles the bat so well, much like Yasmani Tomas. His natural swing is to hit the ball to the right side of the field. That's where the hole is right now.
Yeah, you got Hill shaded near the bag at second. 0-1 now. Molina, batting average was down in the low 230s at the beginning of this month. He has really picked up the pace lately. Last 20 games, he's hit nearly 340. Batting average for the year is up by more than 50 points. Drives it to center. Pollock. 2 down. Jason Hayward. Hayward an RBI single last night. Hitless so far tonight. He has stolen a base and scored a run. Reached on a fielder's choice back in the fourth. And the shift is on for the Diamondbacks. Tomas again will go to the second base spot. Hill a few steps back on the grass at second, and Ahmed all by himself at shortstop. Ball 1.
You look at this defensive alignment. Obviously, they feel Jason Hayward's going to pull the ball to the right side on the ground, but it's like Aaron Hill. Yeah, they're going to move him now. They're going to put him back closer to his second base position because Goldie bounces off the bag so well at first.
Will pop up right to Tomas. The shift was on, and Addison Reed strands the 1-out single. We go to the 9th at Busch. Diamondbacks down 2. By Chaz Roberts, Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Choose Chaz. Hey fans, Saturday, MLB on Fox Sports 1 is back. The Diamondbacks and the Brew Crew from Miller Park at 1 o'clock. Then at 4, it's Baseball Night in America on Fox as the Dodgers face these Cardinals. Coverage starts at 1 o'clock on your home for baseball every Saturday. It's Fox and Fox Sports 1. 9th inning at St. Louis. Ender Inciarte, Mark Trumbo, and Paul Goldschmidt against Cardinal right-hander Matt Belisle, who is out there for his 3rd inning of work. They just started getting someone up in the Cardinal bullpen. Carpenter comes in at 3rd, and Inciarte takes strike 1.
Well, that's no fair. I already wrote Belisle's totals in there. I figured he was done for the evening.
Well, you can argue he might have, maybe should have been. He left the bases loaded in the 7th, stranded a runner at 2nd with 2 outs in the 8th, and he's back out there for the 9th. Inciarte lifts that to Holiday, 1 away. So it's old school here, the 3-inning save.
Goose Gossage would be proud.
Raleigh Fingers, Bruce Sutter, all those guys. The Goose always made that a point when you got into the Hall of Fame debate. And you looked at guys like Eckersley and some of their save numbers, and Gossage went, "Oh, hold on, most of mine were 2 3-inning saves, not just 3 outs." That's the way they used to do it.
Yeah, that's a hot button for Goose. Bring that up
big time. Yeah. You don't want to get him angry. Trumbo singled and scored in the 1st, 1 for 4. Talked about that actually on our Cup of Coffee show. That's at foxsportsarizona.com right now with Tony La Russa, who's often given credit for inventing the closer. It really started with Eckersley being just that 1-inning, 3-out guy at the back end. And Tony, I said, "Did you invent the closer?" And he nodded his head up and down yes and said no. And he said it was Dave Duncan that had the idea. Brought it to Tony La Russa, and it seemed like a crazy idea at the time, but boy, now it revolutionized baseball. Duncan said, you think we're going to win a lot of games? Yeah, I do, Tony said. Well, you think we're good when Eckersley is in there? Well, yeah, I do. Well, we should only use him in the 9th inning. He can pitch more often that way. And we'll lock down more 9th innings. This is in the hole. It's short. Carpenter spins and throws. But tonight, Belisle going to Goose Gossage. Dick Raditz, the 3-inning save.
Carpenter showing his range, cut in front of Johnny Peralta, took that ball away. The spin move with his back to first base, and then fires the strike to Reynolds for the out.
So it's Goldie, last man standing. He is hitless tonight. He walked his last time up. And they're on their feet, 41,000 plus in St. Louis. Cubs winners at Wrigley Field over the Washington Nationals. And so the Cardinals, if they hang on here, will keep a 4.5 game lead atop the National League Central. The Diamondbacks will drop to 21-24. Came into the ball game 6 back of the Dodgers, 3rd in the NL West. Two and two. See if Goldie can get on and bring the tying run to the plate with 2 outs. A.J. Pollock would be next. Three and two. Manus has been up all night in the Cardinal bullpen. Looks like he's ready down there, the right-hander. It's the 3rd time they've got him hot tonight. 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Need a base runner here. And there he is. Goldie walks for the 2nd time, and the Diamondbacks do get the tying run to the plate with 2 down. Manus is ready down there. Let's see what Mike Matheny wants to do. He's going to stick with Belisle. Everybody just looked into the Cardinal dugout. Matheny just clapped his hands and said, "Go get him." AJ doubled and scored in the 1st. He's 1 for 3. Reynolds playing behind the runner at first. One and one.
Belisle walked Goldie and A.J. Pollock back to back in that 7th inning, his 1st inning of work in this ball game, but then struck out Tomas to get out of the jam.
From 46 pitches, 26 strikes. A.J. knocks it into right field. That's a base hit. And Tomas will get up. It gets behind Hayward out there, and now they're going to get an extra base, and he is in there. Hayward couldn't pick it up in right center. Goldie's in at 3rd, Pollock's at 2nd. The tying runs are now in scoring position for Tomas with 2 down. That's a big error right there on a Gold Glove right fielder.
Huge error. Good at bat by A.J. Takes a cutter away and drives it through that right side. That ball just hit him in the thumb of the glove and got behind him. Both runners had stopped, and then both runners advanced.
And now Matheny is going to have to get Belisle after all. He's had Manus up and down 3 times tonight. And Belial exits, responsible for the tying runs in scoring position. Tomas coming up with 2 outs. We're back in a moment. Potentially even bigger for Yasmani Tomas. Another multi-hit game. He's now hit in 10 straight. Tomas has a pair of RBI doubles. He's driven in 3. He's 2 for 4, and he will step up here against right-hander Seth Maness. With 2 on in scoring position for the Diamondbacks. Tying runs aboard, 2 outs in the 9th. And Maness on for the 2nd straight night. He worked last night. A 1-2-3 inning. Got 3 outs on 7 pitches. So Tomas and Maness. Goldschmidt is the runner at 3rd. Pollock is the tying run at 2nd. 2 outs, 9th inning. Strike 1. A big error by a 2-time Gold Glover out there in right field. Jason Hayward gave Goldie and Pollock an extra 90 feet, and now a single will tie the ball game. Bounce to 2nd, right to Wong, and the Cardinals win it 6-4. St. Louis has taken the first 2 games of this 3-game series, and they now get to 30-16 on the year, the best record in all of baseball. 17-5 at home at Busch Stadium this year.
And the Cardinals have to be encouraged by what they saw from Jaime Garcia tonight. Did not walk a batter, gave up 3 earned runs in his outing tonight, and the Diamondbacks have to be a little disappointed in Archie Bradley. 3 2/3, gave up 5 hits, walked 3 more guys, 6 runs on the board against Archie tonight.
Well, we'll take a break for now. When we come back, it's the Diamondback Live postgame show from here at Busch Stadium. Reaction from the clubhouse. Another very entertaining ball game, but just like last night, this one does not go the Diamondbacks' way, and the Cardinals have taken the series.